Should you lose your job for having a workplace affair? You might say, if I'm not having an affair in the workplace, where am I going to have it? I've got to meet the person I have the affair with somewhere. But you might not say that because that's shocking, and everyone is shocked to the core by this Coldplay couple. We can't stop talking about them, thinking about whether it shows that what goes around really does come around, wondering whether we ought to have an affair. I mean, it's really a big deal, hasn't it? Everyone's thinking about it, talking about it. And of course, married tech boss Andy Byron sparked a global scandal when he was caught embracing, if that's the word you want to use, his co-worker, Chief People Officer, what a title, Kristen Cabo, on a kiss cam at a US Coldplay concert last week. Get ready to cringe because, of course, we're going to remind you of that moment.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on, you're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
At the weekend, Mr. Byron tendered his resignation from the company, which is called Astronomer, and in a statement, the firm said its leaders, and I quote, are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability, and recently that standard was not met. But did the man deserve to lose his job? Should anyone be shown the door for mixing business with pleasure? Sarah, let's start with you. What do you think?
Well, I think most people, or a lot of people, meet in the workplace. I have met my husband in the workplace, and I had a relationship in my early 20s with someone that I used to work with. I feel like we spend most of our lives in work, so like you say, possibly where else will you meet somebody? However, this is different, isn't it? Because they had an affair. So this is not just two people, two consenting adults hooking up and, you know, they're available and why not? This is different. This is affecting other people. But I don't think ordinarily you should lose your job for this. If you are consenting and if it's not causing any conflict in the workplace, if it's not causing any disruption, if there's no coercion or anything like that, then I think, why not? You know, you're grown adults.
Well, except, I suppose, Eve, that she was the head of people management of the universe.
Well,
her job was called. And you might say that a great deal of her job was to do with stopping people doing that, having inappropriate relationships at work.
I think I just am gobsmacked about this because just quietly, I think, he was the CEO.
Yes.
If you haven't worked out as CEO of a company that you do not go to the VIP part of a concert with your girlfriend when you know that any concert you go to, there's lights bouncing about, I think I'd be worried about how he'd do his job, you know, because a sensible person would not go to that sort of concert and not sit in those very good seats if you thought you might be picked out.
But Marvyn, they don't only immortalise the expensive seats on that kiss cam, do they? It can be absolutely anyone in the audience. It can be the cheapest seats of all.
Then I would go out for dinner in a quiet restaurant. I would not go to a concert.
But they thought there are 80,000 people in the auditorium. They didn't think they were going to get picked out. Plus, they'd driven, wasn't it, 200 miles from home in New York to get to Boston? They didn't think they'd get seen. And even if they did get seen on that cam, they didn't think that somebody, some bright spark, was going to upload it to the internet and it was going to go round the globe 50 times before lunchtime. I mean, they just didn't think that would happen. I'm not justifying it. I don't think they should have been doing it, but they didn't think they were going to get
I think
caught.
that CEOs won't be going with their girlfriends to concerts in the future. That's all.
Let me take you through some of the memes, Marvyn. You're going to enjoy this. When I say that this scandal has gone big, obviously I really mean it. In the US city of Philadelphia, the mascot for the big baseball team was also caught out on a kiss cam. Look at that. There have been AI recreations of forbidden couples, including presidential rivals Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, caught in a clinch. Did you see that one? Yeah. And the memes have been off the charts, including one showing a photo of Coldplay's Chris Martin with the caption, "If I send you this, know you've been exposed." And there was another prescient example in which a LinkedIn open for work graphic was photoshopped onto a still of the pair. Look at that one. Nice. So it's captured everyone's imagination. I mean, I think my view is it's because we like to believe what goes around comes around. We like to believe there's justice for those who do wrong. And we like to believe that you get banged to rights for doing the wrong thing. And suddenly there it is. And we can believe it. I think that's what we like so much, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so horrifying. And I more just think of the family. And I don't want to go too earnest, but I really do think of the wife at home just like observing that and that coming at her. Everybody probably forwarding it and asking her for an answer. are and what that means. And she spoke very powerfully in her comment this morning. But I do believe just the extended family, the children, the kind of, we don't think about the wider impact of these kind of moments. But it's so arrogant to go to a show with 80,000 people and go there with your mistress that you're having an affair with and display publicly your affection. I think it's the laziest, most absent-minded act, and everything that happens to him
in your local fish and chip shop.
And then,
But then
your next door neighbour's mother-in-law comes in for some chips, and you get caught there.
But that's why you don't go to your local fish and chip shop.
Where are you meant to?
You do your affairs
I mean, just don't have an
seedy
affair.
hotels.
Don't have an
Easy
affair.
answer, right?
Just get baseball.
That's the answer, but we are aware that this happened, but I think it's the brazenness of it all. I think just hiding those things, if you are living a underworld, then hide that in the corner. And now it's in our awareness. We have to have an opinion on it. So it's really important that we tell people, do not cheat on your partner. It's such a violent act when you think about it, and of betrayal, and we don't address it as such. We kind of allow it to
you there because I think
go
that's
on.
a hell of a sentence you've just uttered. And it sounds like you're just saying, yeah, and the sofa's pink and the walls are green, but you didn't. You said cheating on your partner, you just said, is a violent act.
The impact lasts years.
And I must say, having been the victim of that, I would agree with every word you said. I think the impact in terms of pain, the fallout, the shock, the betrayal, the
How you
hurt,
feel about
the
yourself.
treachery.
Yeah.
It does feel like a violent act. You're absolutely right. But when you speak to the people who do it, they often say, oh, but I didn't think about my wife. I wasn't thinking about my husband. I wasn't, that wasn't what I was thinking about. I wasn't doing it in order to harm them or hurt them. I was doing it for, and then they dredge up a whole load of other reasons. But they tend to kind of dodge the responsibility for hurting and for the pain they cause.
There is a psychologist called Esther Perel. She's one of the leading people on this. And she does say that people do cheat for themselves. It's about recognising a part of themselves that they don't see anymore and wanting to reconnect to that feeling of their youth or their best years. So it's never centred on the person they do it to, but the cost of what it does to that person is so great that actually just separating in advance is better, or doing it well enough that we don't have to all talk about it. I think that's, not the advice, because I think aspirationally we should say don't cheat, but we are aware that it happens, and not going to the concept of 80,000 people with kiss cams is probably a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, Sarah, it would have taken the sort of the frisson, the excitement, the lustfulness, the kind of good bit, the thrill out of cheating that everybody around the world has seen? This, over 100 million people have seen it. And if you're having an affair, you might actually stop and think, and the kind of the good bit, whatever that is, dissolved right then when you saw that kiss cam?
Well, I think definitely for that couple. I think it will make people think twice, and people that are openly brazen and going around with their people that they're having an affair with, people do get caught out. And I feel like it is that what comes around, goes around, comes around, and that eventually the truth will out. And I think this is a prime example of that.
Eve, what is it about this story? I mean, obviously, you've been editor of a Fleet Street newspaper. Your nose for a good story is absolutely unfailing.
But it is a great story because they were in a foreign country. You can't count that anymore. The world's become a much smaller place. People take photographs, people send photographs. It's just a different world. I remember talking to David English. We were both in Hong Kong when Hong Kong was being taken over by the Chinese. We had a long dinner and said, the world will change because of what is happening, because of travel, because of whatever. And people have got to think about things. I mean, I think a lot of people who are having affairs would have looked at that and thought, I'm not going to that restaurant, we're not going ever to a concert, we're not. Be interesting to see how concert tickets go.
Murray's on Facebook. Murray says, if your personal relationships don't affect your job performance, you shouldn't be penalised professionally. I understand this particular scandal embarrassed the company, but situations like this happen all the time. They're just not publicised, which is true, right, Sarah?
Yeah, but I think bringing the company into disrepute is the element in which the company is responsible. Because if you are the leader of the company, think of all the clients. If you were spending money somewhere and you found out that's what it is, you would be very much hesitant to invest in the same way, and that's what the company is there for.
Let's bring in Jen on Facebook. Jen says affairs should not affect your job unless they harm the business, like an upset spouse causing issues. This public scandal was poorly handled and hurt the business, especially given his role. I mean, you don't get much more than the multi-million-pound CEO of a company bringing the company into disrepute.